What's that?
That is very in-depth. I wonder how many people,
Yeah.
after doing that intake form, go, I need therapy. Well,
I
today
need
we get to hear about Sheri. Sheri, what's going on in your business world these days? What are you doing different from when we first started?
Well, there's a lot of differences that have happened. I have gone through all kind of training in the last year and a half for functional nutrition counselor, for functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner, which is just really joining the functional nutrition counseling with lifestyle practices, which is basically what functional nutrition is anyway. But it's the the certification for that just really upped the game and learning how to use the different functional medicine tools that are used. So, yeah, so that's really what I'm doing. It's an extension of what I was doing before because I have a certified holistic health and life coach certifications. I've got advanced certifications also in transformational coaching and mastery coaching. So it just kind of, it all goes together with the functional nutrition and helping somebody take their health to the next level. Because it's not only the functional nutrition side and lifestyle, but also helping a person with accountability and support, which is sometimes the hardest thing. I was talking to somebody yesterday about it. He's like, I know all the right things to do. And I've heard him. He knows all the right things to do, but he's not doing the right things or he's not staying on track. He'll do some things and then he'll not do some things. And so when you have to talk to somebody and tell them what you're doing, that goes a long way toward you actually continuing to stay on the track that you want to stay on to up-level your health. So those are all the things that I've been doing. And so what is functional nutrition? What is it that I do? So functional nutrition is, or functional anything, is getting to the root cause. It's looking at the person as a whole. Because why? Well, God didn't make us a brain, or God didn't make us a heart. He put all of the pieces together in one body, and that's who you are, and you are all those pieces. So conventional medicine says you got to go to the heart doctor to take care of your heart. You got to go to the, whatever neurologist to work on your brain. But we look at everything as a whole. So you're not just fixing one part, you're fixing the whole body. And typically, where does it start? It starts with digestion. It starts with your lifestyle. It starts with, fixing, we're looking at those things. I don't want to say fixing because we're not broken. We're just, our health may not be right where we want it to be. We're not broken people, but it's, looking at it from that arena and then helping a person step forward and gain the health that they want. And once they start on that path, they start seeing changes in their body. They start feeling better. They start having more energy. They start sleeping better. And they want to keep going at that point. And a lot of it, the accountability and support isn't as much there as let's, bring in some more things to help you keep moving forward. So another thing that I started doing, like I need another thing right now, is that I'm taking a therapeutic nutrition and supplement course. And that's been really interesting as well. I'm 2 weeks in and oh my goodness, the information around that. So we're, looking at different diagnoses, because that's not what a functional person works with either. We don't work with diagnoses. We work on how do you feel and stepping forward with that and looking at those things to help support you. But so just learning nutritionally wise or supplement wise how to help somebody at a therapeutic level if needed, or here's a baseline of maybe where you start. Now, we are also not taught that there's a pill for every ill. So, and that goes with supplements too, because if you've worked in the arena of functional, naturopathic, whatever, you may come across people that are like, here, have this supplement, take that vitamin, you know, you need these minerals or whatever, and all of a sudden you got a stack of them. And that's not where we're working either. So I'm not about, you know, piling on the supplements. That's not where I start. Now, if I see that there needs to be support there while somebody's healing, then we may look at that. So it just depends where we're starting. But we also look for root causes. That's another thing, you know, is functional, is taking a look at what's creating these issues. And that's why I'm saying we're not going after, you know, you have a diagnosis of cancer. We're not looking at that. We're going, okay, well, what might have created this situation, root causes, and working on correcting some of those things to help the body heal, to help the person, you know, basically step out of the way, and so they can heal. So that's what, I guess, in a nutshell, what functional nutrition is. So I don't know. Do you have any questions? Is that?
So how do we, if we want your help with all those things, how do we do that with you? Do you have a group that we join? Do you have individualized coaching? Do you have consultations? How would we start that with you?
Yeah, so I mean, I offer 3 different ways to work with me. I've actually been working on my website, and that's actually the page I've been working on. But I have 3 different ways. You can work with me one-on-one. I do offer groups every so often to help with more in the line of nutrition and lifestyle. So it's getting you to a certain point, and then you might jump from there and work one-on-one. You do get, during the group session, you do get some one-on-one consulting also. And then I do have some self-paced courses also, so that if somebody, you know, has the initiative, they can work on it self-paced. And I have one for helping you ditch sugar, letting that go, because sugar is, as we know, one of the worst things that we can consume, and it's fairly prevalent. And a lot of people, including, you know, I had issues with sugar, getting rid of that. I'll call it an addiction, because it really can come down to that. And then the other one is the group course, but at a self-paced. And I do offer with the group or with self-paced, it can, you know, also reach out and get extra sessions one-on-one if they need to have that. They get into the self-paced and they're like, oh, wait a second, I need some support with this. So I do offer that also. But yeah, I start typically, even, you know, what's right for you, I offer a 15 to 20 minute free consultation just to find out, you know, do we fit? Are we a right fit for each other? You know, and you know, what is the best course for you? Where should you start? So that's where I start. And then once the person says, yeah, I want to work with you, then I have a pretty in-depth intake form.
That was my question. What's your intake form look like?
Yeah.
Functional nutrition as usually.
So yeah, I mean, because it takes a little while to fill out, and I know that if somebody fills it out, they're really serious about, they want to work together. They want to do something. They're ready to step forward. And what's really good about it, it's 20 pages. It is 20 pages, but it's covering all the body systems. It's covering your history and where have you been and what's gone on with you, down to how were you born? Were you born vaginally? Did your mother breastfeed you? You know, were you vaccinated? So we're looking at all the things to see, you know, potentially the toxicity levels also of a person environmentally, and but looking at all the different body systems and dates and whatnot. So because then I take that and I change it into a functional timeline. I take all that information and I fill out a timeline with it, and a person can see, here's what happened for my lifetime, and I can see, but so both of us can see, here's what happened through my lifetime, and you know what, this potentially, and there's some things on there that are also more in the line of, you know, did you lose somebody? It could go be with grieving. It could be, you know, what are the different things that happened in your life that may have also impacted your health? You know, just like you, Julie, you know that you had an issue, and then you also had kidney issues. And grieving, you know, those things, sometimes they'll go together. And sometimes there's blocks of time where nothing has happened. And so we may dig in deeper, like, did anything really happen during that time? So it's emotional, because I think, as we know too, things can be stored in our body emotionally and create health issues. Not that that's what I'm going to work on, but that is an indicator of, oh, you know, we may need to look at that and support you through this. And you know what, here's a resource for you to look at that. Once we do that and I have that timeline filled out, I sit down with a person and we start filling in more, we talk about it more. And, you know, by the end of it, and the person will receive that timeline, they can see what happened in their life. And it's a great tool for them to have later when they want to, you know, maybe they work with somebody else, they can go, oh, yeah. I can fill out all this other information very quickly when I do that. So, and then after that, after we have that session, then I go through and I'm looking at I have the client that I have today. I'm not going to show the information, but what we use, and this is something they use in functional medicine, it's called a matrix. And I don't know if you can see it, but that's a matrix, and we're looking at all the different areas of the body. So we're looking at immune and inflammatory balance. We're looking at environmental inputs, oxidative stress, energy production, detoxification, hormones and neurotransmitters, mind, spirit, emotions, and community, structural integrity, and gastrointestinal. So all the things that they have going on or had going on, and we may say they're resolved, we'll put into those different categories on this matrix. But then we also look at lifestyle factors. On the right-hand side with sleep and relaxation, exercise and movement, nutrition and hydration, stress resilience, relationships, and networks. So that's another area where, if that is, you know, in community and their job and whatnot, if that's an area that creates a lot of stress, I mean, that's, you know, also something that we need to look at. But then on the other side, we're looking at antecedents. So, you know, we're looking at the parents. We're looking at, like I said, how was somebody born? We're looking at triggering events. So what may have caused, you know, some of these issues. And then mediators. What are things that help or hurt that person? So it's it's a nice thing to look at whenever I'm getting ready to go work with a client, because I have it all right there in a full picture of what's going on with that person. So I fill that out. And then going forward from there, we have a conversation and find out at the end of it, we work on together, we decide on action steps and what does a person want to take on to help them move to the next level and start feeling better. So that's kind of how I work. And then we don't meet on necessarily, it might be a week later, it might be 2 weeks. It's at the pace that the person wants to take after that.
That is very in-depth.
Yeah.
What's that?
That is very in-depth. I wonder how many people,
Yeah.
after doing that intake form, go, I need therapy.
Well, it may be very enlightening to somebody. I feel like it probably is enlightening to people to see, where have I been? Oh, and here's why.
Yeah.
I might be dealing with that. or if they don't see why they might be dealing with that, during our conversation, there might be a few ahas there, you know, in connecting some dots on what may have happened.
And it's interesting too, because you think about functional medicine and we don't think about medicine, or at least I don't until I feel bad. But in church the other day, a comment was made that Andy Stanley had told his son, and he, you know, they were talking about how time heals, and he said, I don't believe time heals. He said, I think things affect you later and greater. And so I think that's like, that it hangs in my mind, but I think it sits well here too, because when you do think about life events, whether it's like you mentioned, a loss, or even, you know, family changes and dynamics, or whatever these stressors might be, it does lead to health effects. And it could be even one small change in your life that really sets off an entire host of issues throughout all your systems, you know, because I think that's what I've seen is you can see it start in one place, but then it just multiplies all over. So I love the fact that you really dive into so many different parts, and it's not just one thing specific. I think that's what frustrates, you know, it frustrates you. We go to the doctor and they're like, it's just one thing. You're like, no, it's everywhere. So it's really cool.
And I think the other thing that's different with going to your conventional doctor and seeing somebody in a more holistic field, whether it be a naturopath or a functional, you know, person, that you get about 10 or 15 minutes with your doctor conventionally. How can they even like go over all the things with you during that time? And as you can tell, I'm spending time with this person. You know, when we sit down and talk about, you know, their intake form, we're going to probably spend a good hour on it, looking at all of the things and really diving into some of them and getting more answers, you know, that I may have, more questions, you know, answers to questions that I have. So, and then, you know, of course, they can also, of course, ask questions, but, you know, it's we spend time with people. And I think that's the big difference also.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, how can a doctor know in 15 minutes even what other medication, what other doctor has given you, and whether there's side effects, and maybe we shouldn't be using this with that, or, you know, and the pharmacist is supposed to take care of all that, but that's really only as good as the software also that they use. I know, I worked on that software before.
Yeah.
Software. It was scary when we were working on it, and that thing came up and said, your patient just died. You know, but it's just, and I think somebody put something out, a message out there, but it's like, you know, yeah, there's a lot of different interactions too that they don't even know about. Yeah. The medications. And also with medications, it comes side effects.
Absolutely. And that goes for, you know, like you had mentioned, the naturopathic doctors. When I first started getting into holistic healthcare, I remember two of the naturopathic doctors that I saw, both of them, by the time I finished my initial visits with them, and probably the first 6 weeks, I had spent over $1,000 in supplements. I mean, it was just, I get that there's a reason for therapeutic supplements. I do, but I also know that they're in the same boat as pharmaceuticals in terms of they're making money on these supplements that they sell. And so they want you to buy their supplements out of their office. And, you know, it took me a few years to realize that there's, you know, the idea is to look for someone who might recommend supplements, but isn't trying to get you to buy their shelf clean. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I have a book, not that thick, and it's older, and I wish she had a newer one, but it's written by more of a holistic pharmacist, that if you took this medication, these are the deficiencies that you will have. Yeah. And so when I look at somebody who is on medications, I'll also look at that and see, well, if they're deficient in that, which is another reason I'm taking this course right now, is that, you know, what what else might be happening because they're deficient in those particular vitamins, minerals, whatever. So,
That
yeah.
supplement
And in
force
that particular case, if they are taking, certain medications, I might say, look, it's depleting you in these things, typically magnesium, right? That you're going to want to supplement. And of course, it's up to them if they want to. But, here's some of the things, side effects you might be experiencing. And you already are. And so, yeah. And then knowing, with this course, what is the therapeutic dose to bring them to. It's the same thing with if they're on antibiotics forever or had been, because that's another question on the intake. Do you take a lot of antibiotics as a child, as a teenager, as an adult? We know their gut health is messed up. So they don't have the bacteria that they need, the good bacteria. So that might be another one that, we might want to go with. And then some people are so messed up that they can't even start with probiotics. So there might be more healing that needs to be done with the gut before.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, because it sounds like through what you talk about is not only your health, because I think it's two different things. There's health, there's habits, and then there's like your day to day. So in other words, I know that there's things with my health that I have trouble with. I know that there are things that I can do to correct that. But then I also have these habits that really disrupt everything else. And so it's like if I work on one thing, then I'm really not fixing the problem, because there's so many different layers and it's so stacked with things that I probably don't even know are, affecting my health, like fragrances plugged in my house or different chemicals that I'm using. And so it sounds like you go over all of that. So it's not just one thing that's impacting a certain symptom or, an ailment, but you go over all of it. And I think when you go see a doctor, they only focus on one thing. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, of course, if there were all the questions on there, they would probably never finish it. It's pretty extensive, but yeah, and it's peeling back the onion layers and getting down to, very basic, and let's start here. And, then, sorry, I had something go off on my computer. Just bring it down to the lowest level and start building from there. And, some of the habits, yeah, they may be good, they may be bad. But, slowly adjusting them and, just working on getting some wins for that person and feeling better. I like to say physically and emotionally, because I think that's, it's both. It really is. Mm-hmm. If we emotionally we feel better, then, we're actually apt to do more things physically.
Yeah.
How many people destroy their body because of emotion?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And don't realize it.
For how long? That's what I can't think, but to think how long people have felt bad or something has been going on with them for years, and they have their own, treatment.
Mm-hmm. Well, or they think it's normal.
They think it's normal. Yeah. Who told you that's what I'm saying? Who told you that?
Isn't everybody constipated? No, everybody is not constipated. They shouldn't be. But, it's just, that's, the thing is that they're like, you're not going to probably talk to somebody about that, but we do go there. I have something that I have my clients also fill out generally, and it's called a food, mood, poop journal. And we're looking at all the things. And it's looking at it all day long, and how much water and your sleep. And it's a full encompassing thing that I have them fill out for about 5 days, just to see where are you at and what's happening in your life, day to day. How are you eating? Because there's some people that they think that they're going to lose weight by not eating, and that's not going to work all the time. Yes, there's fasting, and there's a correct way to do fasting, and Bree's going to tell us about it next week. But it's mostly what they're doing is not fasting. They're just not actually giving their body the nutrients that they need. And so they think they're going to lose weight, and it's not going to happen that way. There can be a healthy balance. I do fast once a week, so it can be a healthy balance of all that. But when you continually only eat a very restricted amount of calories, it's not going to happen. And I see a lot of people that are doing that, and not good calories.
All right. Well, what is your website?
My website is empoweredhealthcoaching.com.
Link below.
Yeah, I think it's in all of our show notes anyway, but yeah, you can find me there. You can check out what I'm doing. I'm in a lot of different places also with the same name. So I haven't been super active on all the social platforms, but
she does send out
on
emails.
YouTube.
Very good emails.
I have been trying to be better about that.
She sends out awesome emails, and so if you want updates, get on her email list.
Yes.
Yeah, I have freebies on my website that you can grab also. So, go out there and get some resources. And
we'll also link how she got into this story from when we first started this podcast below. You want to hear Sheri's story on how she converted over to a holistic health life? It's actually pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you. God made our body so forgiving, and we can start working on our health at any time. So any day you decide, you can start working on your health and feeling better. So be that an encouragement to do one thing to help yourself.
We're here to encourage you in your health journey.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
Join us.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in. All the links will be below for Sheri's website, for Christian Women's Health Collective website. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with all those that you love and want to see get healthier. And we will see you next time for Bree's story. Bye.
Bye.